Hi, grade 12. Let's look at this example. It says George has to repay a loan of 375,000. Okay, so that is the value of the loan. The interest rate is 14% per annum compounded monthly, and he pays back 7,500 per month. Okay, that's all they give us. And then the first question is A, how many payments will George have to make? And B, what will be his last payment? So what will be the final payment of the loan? Okay, let's do A. How many payments will George have to make? So he is making regular payments. So our options are it's either P or F. That's the options for our formula. Now it is P because we are working with a loan. So let's write the P formula down. Okay, so there's our P formula. P is the value of the loan. So we know P is 375,000. Then I is the interest rate. So it's 14%. So 14 over 100 gives us 0.14. And this is over 12 because it's compounded monthly. N is the number of payments. That is actually the question. We don't know. And our monthly payment is 7,500. Okay, let's put this in our formula. So P is the 375,000. X is this one over here. So it's 7,500. 1 minus 1 plus. Interest is this over here. So we write it as a decimal. And then we don't know what N is. And everything over this. Okay. We need N to be by itself. So what I am going to do is I'm first going to take this away. So I'm going to multiply the 375,000 with the interest. So let's do that. So 375, I'm going to multiply with the interest. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this 7,500 down. So I'm going to divide this by 7,500. So I'm then left with this bracket on my right hand side. So let's write that bracket down. So now I want to solve for this in over here. So that in. So that means I need this by itself. I need this by itself. So I'm going to take this 1 over. So I take this whole thing and I say minus 1. And then on this side, I still have a negative. This over 12 to the negative n. Okay, so now I'm going to simplify. Only now I'm using my calculator. I put this in the calculator and see what I get. So put that in your calculator. You should get negative 5 over 12. And then put this in your calculator. So all of that. Remember there's a negative in front. You should get negative, let's see. You should get negative 607 over 600 to the negative n. Okay, do you see you have a negative on both sides? So we can say let's divide by negative 1. So all the signs change. This negative becomes a positive. And this negative also becomes a positive. Okay? But remember, the power is still a negative n. Okay, now to solve for n, I can't make the base numbers the same. So this n comes down. So it comes down. This is now a log. This is the base of the exponent. So it stays the base. And then this will just come over. So this is 5 over 12. And then on your calculator, you will have something like this. A log with 2 blocks like that. You put those fractions in there. And you should get negative n to be negative 75,477,065,63. And then again divide by negative 1 because we want to get rid of the signs. We want to change the signs. So then my final answer is n is equal to a positive 75,477,065,63. 6.63. And so if we had to answer the question was, how many payments will George have to make? Now remember we said number of payments can't be a decimal. So if it's 75 comma something, then he will make 76 payments. But now, if this was an investment, all 76 payments would have been the monthly payment. If this was an investment, he would have made 76 payments of 7,500 Rand each. But this is not an investment, it's a loan. So with a loan, you will say 75 of these payments will be 7,500. Then this last payment, this decimal, will be less than 7,500. So not all the payments will be equal. The answer is still 76 payments. And that leads us to the next question, which is, what will be the last payment? So we know the last payment will be less than 7,500. But what will the payment be? So here's our question. What is the last payment? So for the last payment or the final payment, we have to work out step number 1. There's 2 steps. Step number 1, you must work out the outstanding balance up until this point. So up until payment 75. Okay? So up until payment, in this case, it's 75. Step number 2, you're going to take your answer in number 1 and we are going to grow that answer for 1 month. Because remember, if you had a timeline and you had T0, T1, and T75 was here, but you are making 76 payments, you would take this outstanding balance here. So that would be the answer that you got here. And then that money must still grow for another month. And then that will be your final payment. So you're going to take your answer and you're going to grow that money. So you're going to grow it with interest for 1 month. For 1 month. Because you are making monthly payments. Okay, so let's do that. Step number 1, let's work out our outstanding balance. So we said outstanding balance is equal to our A formula minus our F formula. Do you remember? That's in the previous video, So outstanding balance, I'm going to write my A formula and then I'm going to write down the F formula. Okay, there's my 2 formulas. So remember, P is the value of the loan. N is the number of intervals that you paid interest. This is the monthly payment. This is the number of payments, and all the I's are the interest. So let's go. Outstanding balance is equal to the value of this loan. If you go up to your information, the value of this loan is this 375,000. So let's go. So 375,000. 1 plus our interest was 14%. So that stays the same. And if you want your outstanding balance at payment 75, then you have paid interest for 75 months. And then X is the monthly payment. Our interest stays the same. And how many payments have we made up until that point? 75 over the interest. Okay, you put this all on your calculator. So this, punch it in your calculator, this whole thing. And you should get an answer of 3547,457,499. Can you see I'm not rounding off because this is not the final answer. So this is how much I owe the bank at payment number 75. So up until this point, that is how much I owe the bank. But now the bank is still going to charge me interest for that 1 month. So I'm going to take step number 2. I'm going to take this answer and I'm going to grow the money. So I grow the money with the A formula because I'm not making payments. So P is now this outstanding balance that I got there. So P is now this. I'm not rounding off. And then I'm growing the money with the same interest over 12. And this is for one interval. So that is for 1 month. And I owe the bank at the end of month 76. I owe the bank this amount. And here I round off to 2 decimal places. And that's how you get the final payment.